Hello, and welcome back to the Effective Weight Loss for Moms podcast. There are few things more frustrating when you're working so hard on your fitness and nutrition, and the scale just won't budge. You're getting the workouts in, you're trying to make better food choices, you're drinking your water, you're even turning down the Starbucks cake pops, and nothing. And the thoughts start creeping in. Is it my metabolism? Is it my hormones? Maybe it's my genes. If that sounds familiar, I want you to take a deep breath because today we're going to untangle all of this. I'm going to walk you through my process for figuring out what is really limiting your progress because, yes, something might be getting in the way, but it is not always what you think. Okay, so before we start though, I want to take you back to high school chemistry for a second, and I promise this will make sense. Do you remember learning about the limiting reactant in chemistry? I can almost hear the collective groans that you guys are doing. You probably blocked that out of your mind, unless you're one of those people that loves chemistry, in which case, good for you. The rest of us didn't. But do you remember the limiting reactant? So here is what that is in case you don't remember. In a chemical reaction, the limiting reactant is the one thing that controls how far the reaction can go. Once that ingredient runs out, it's done. The reaction stops. It's like baking a cake. So I used to be a baker and I had a home bakery. So this is 100% true. You have all the ingredients, right? The flour, the sugar, the eggs, the butter. But let's say you only have one egg. Your cake is not going to rise properly because the egg is the limiting ingredient. No matter how much flour or sugar you add, the cake won't turn out right unless you have the right amount of eggs, right? So let's translate this to our bodies. You are working out consistently. You're eating decent meals. You are drinking water and you're sleeping okay. But let's say your protein intake is too low. No matter how hard you work out or how well you eat, your body is not going to build muscle efficiently and your metabolism won't get the boost that it needs. That missing piece is your limiting reactant. Once you fix that, eat enough protein, for instance, suddenly all the effort you've been putting in starts to rise like the cake. Your fat loss improves, your energy increases, your workouts feel more effective. The same thing is true for your body. We need to figure out what that is for you. And until you do, it's not going to matter how hard you work in other areas. You're still going to feel like you're spinning your wheels. So how do you find out your limiting reactant when it comes to fat loss? I want to look at this in layers because it isn't about guessing. It's about peeling things back in the right order. So let's talk about layer one. This is lifestyle. It's the foundation. If you take nothing else from today's episode, take this. You cannot outsmart a bad foundation. You can have hormone changes, you can have genetic predispositions, you can have metabolic adaptation, but if your lifestyle foundation is shaky, none of that matters yet. And even if you solve those problems, you still won't get the results that you want because everything rests on the foundation. So before we start pointing fingers at hormones or metabolism, we have to make sure that the basics are in place. So what does that mean? One, you're strength training regularly using progressive overload. This means you are challenging your body. I've got tons of podcast episodes about progressive overload. You can go listen to, you can go look for those and listen to those. Two, you're eating a balanced, flexible diet that focuses on protein and plants. And three, you've got some kind of consistency system in place, routines that help you follow through even when life gets chaotic. I call this core needs prioritization, and it's the way that you get things done week after week, even when you're a busy mom of 5 kids like me. This is the stuff that most people skip because it's not sexy. It's not biohacking or confusing your metabolism. It's just the boring basics, but they work. And listen, I don't care if your problem is hormonal, genetic, metabolic, or maybe it's even your kids. If you don't have this layer figured out, it's going to trip you up. And this is the foundation that I help moms build inside my program, the Fat Loss Formula for Moms. You do my program if you need someone to help you build the foundation, because maybe you were never taught how to do this. Maybe you were never taught how to have, consistent exercise, or how to meal plan, or how to even know how to cook in a healthy way, right? Maybe you grew up watching a mom who gave everything to everyone else and never took care of her body until it was too late. Maybe food in your house was either clean your plate or you don't need seconds. Whatever your story is, inside my program, I can help you rewrite it. You can build a different foundation, one that models health for your kids in a way that you wish had been modeled for you. You will be consistent with workouts, with meal planning, and with prioritizing your health. And guess what? That results in fat loss. Okay. That is what you will get when you join our program. All right. But it's more than that, because I know what you really want is you don't just want weight loss. You want to create generational health for your family. All right. So we have to have that foundation in place before we can even determine if any of these other factors are impacting our fat loss. So the second layer I want to talk about is metabolism. I need you to hear me clearly. Your metabolism is not broken. Your metabolism is not a fragile, mysterious thing that can one day just decide to stop working, but it can adapt down. Your metabolism is like that one, super efficient friend who figures out how to live off of $200 a month and still have money left over. Okay. When you diet for too long, when you do tons of cardio, or eat very little for months or years, your body becomes incredibly efficient at doing more with less. And that means it burns fewer calories. It's not punishing you, it is protecting you. Your metabolism's main job is to keep you alive, not make you look good in jeans. So when you've been in a calorie deficit forever, or you're constantly in that eat less, move more hamster wheel, your body is going to adapt to survive. This is why we have to look at the full picture. Once we've built that solid foundation of strength training, of balanced nutrition, and consistency, then we can see clearly what's going on metabolically. For some moms, it's metabolic adaptation from years of dieting. For others, it might be that they naturally have lower metabolisms due to genetics or their height. Either way, once we optimize that first layer, we can actually see what's happening instead of just guessing. All right, now I want to talk about the third layer. And this is going to be the last layer that we're going to be discussing today. And this is hormones. If you're over 35, you're probably starting to feel some subtle changes. Maybe your sleep isn't great, or your energy feels kind of inconsistent, or your belly fat has suddenly become your body's favorite storage unit when it didn't used to go there. Anyone else feel that? Welcome to perimenopause, my friend. And I know what you're thinking. Wait, isn't that for women in their 50s? No. Perimenopause can actually start as early as your mid-30s. And for some of us, like me, I was just diagnosed as being in perimenopause. It shows up a lot sooner than we would like. When our estrogen starts to decline, our body composition can shift. You might notice that more fat is stored around your midsection, or changes in how your body responds to carbs, or even differences in how you recover from your workouts. Your sleep can start to suffer, which raises cortisol, which makes you hungrier, which makes you eat more, which causes abdominal weight gain. It is a vicious cycle. Now, does that mean that you're doomed? No, absolutely not. It just means that we need to work with your hormones instead of ignoring them. That might look like adjusting your training style, or increasing your protein intake to support muscle and metabolism, adjusting carb timing, managing stress so cortisol doesn't run the show through sleep strategies or supplements, or maybe even hormone replacement therapy you want. I don't provide hormone replacement therapy, but I can point you in the right direction. But again, if we skip the foundational level, that foundation, we're never going to know what's hormonal and what is lifestyle. Does that make sense? If we don't have that foundation in place of the lifestyle piece, we are never going to know if it's a hormonal thing or if it's the way that you're living your life, okay? So here's the big takeaway that I want you to get from today's episode. You don't need to guess what's wrong with your body, but you do need a roadmap to uncover what could be going on, okay? We want to start with the foundation. What are your habits? Are you strength training? And if you are in perimenopause or you think you might be, all the literature, all the scientific research points to you must resistance train. You must resistance train. So many benefits for women over 35, hormonally, metabolically. Resistance training is going to set you up for so much more success. I'm going to have to do a whole episode on this, perimenopause and resistance training, because it is just fascinating. But that'll be for another day. So we want to start with our foundation, your nutrition, your consistency systems, your strength training. Once that is solid, then we can look deeper into your metabolism and your hormones. Because only when the basics are in place can we see clearly what is actually limiting your progress. If you're ready to finally figure out what's limiting your progress, not by guessing, but by following a proven framework, I would love to help you inside my program, The Fat Loss Formula for Moms. I'll help you build that foundation, optimize your metabolism, and work with your hormones instead of fighting against them. You're going to learn how to lift, fuel, and live in a way that finally makes sense in this season of your life. Because even if you were never taught how to do this, you can learn. I truly believe that. Anyone can learn new skills. And when you do, you're not just changing your health, you're changing your family's story, okay? All right, that's all for today. If this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend, okay? And if you're ready to take the next step, I want you to head over to effectivefitnessforwomen.com to learn more about the fat loss formula for moms, or you can book a free discovery call by clicking the link in the show notes. I will talk to you next time on the Effective Weight Loss for Moms podcast.